Hey there, Bagelites. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. And this week, we're introducing a new topic, segment, whatever the heck you want to call it, called Backyard Brews. This is to recognize out those breweries, beers, ciders, seltzers, whatever the heck you want to call it, booze in general, that are here to the state of Delaware, where I'm from, or from the surrounding area. We've been doing a lot of stuff of recent that have been from the local area. So I figure this is a way to kind of call out those and differentiate from when I'm doing beers from all across the United States. Give a little shout out here to the backyard, home state. For today's episode, we've got not a beer, but we got a cider. It's from here in the United States. Of course it's here in the United States, but it's here from the state of Delaware. And I know we've been doing a lot of other stuff, pumpkin flavor for Halloween and October, what have you. Apple ciders fits right in with it, especially with the Halloween motif, bobbing for apples. So, I don't know. My rules, my show. It's a stretch, but it works. In any event, but before we get to doing the taste test, the smell test, and most importantly, the chug test, make sure you click on that subscribe button down in the lower corner of the screen so you can stay abreast of the reviews and, I don't know, news. There's no news. The more you know moments when we do them, and general nonchalantry. I know that's not really a word. Maybe it is. I'll have to look it up. Could be, maybe not. But click on that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with new episodes of Bagel and Booze. So with that, let's get the Beercam up and get everything started. I think this might actually be one of my first cider review episodes, so we'll see how it goes. But for this, I fire up the Beercam. I guess change it to cider cam, but whatever, we're keeping it as is. We're visiting Rebel Seed Cidery. They're here out of Marydel, Delaware. If you can kind of figure that out, it sits right on the border of Maryland and Delaware. It sits on the western side of the state, eastern side if you're in Maryland. Not to be confused with Delmar, which sits at the bottom of Delaware on the state line. Is what it is. But these guys tout themselves as the first cidery here in the first state. And what we're going to be sampling out from them today is their Colonial Jack, which they classify as a optimized dry cider. Rebel Seed Cidery, they were launched in 2015, and they came out of the Harvest Ridge Winery, which opened, 10 years ago, if I'm doing my math correctly, in 2013. That's pretty simple math. So, yes, 10 years ago. So, and with this, they say that they are throwing in the dry hops into this. And what that is they're actually doing adding hops during fermentation with this. But what they also do is a term that they call dry hopping, where they're going to go ahead and basically add hops late in the brewing process. And most often this happens in the fermentation tanks. What this does is it kind of ramps up the aromas and flavors without extracting more of the bitterness of the hops. As we get in IPAs and other things, which, that hoppiness, the kind of that bitter taste quality that you get to it. And that's actually what happens is when you add the hops earlier in the brewing process, you get the bitterness as the volatile oils of those hops are boiled off. This, if you think about adding it in there, that's not actually the term wet hopping, as you would kind of maybe guess, but wet hopping actually just refers to the fact that the hops themselves are the state of the hops that are being used, where they're more fresh and full of moisture. Dry hopping just simply kind of rarely implies, not that the hops are dry, but it just refers to the point in the brewing process. Why they specifically call it dry hopping, no freaking clue. I guess with that, let's go ahead, get this poured out.
I drink and I know things.
We got everything all poured out, and as you can see, and as would come to expect with ciders, it's a nice, crisp, clean looking pour, drink. I'm going to call it a beer. I know it's not a beer. That's what I would refer to it. But it comes out very clean looking. No real sediment, which, I guess might get in some ciders. But with this one, very clean looking. So let's go ahead and get it over here. Reach my can back up onto its pedestal. And we'll go ahead and let's give it an old sniff test. So, right off the bat, that's how I kind of come to expect and hope. I got a good big nose full of apple. Not really getting much other flavor that comes out of that. It's just a very nice, crisp apple flavor. Probably should know apple flavors. I don't know if there's different smells for different types, but I guess we'll see when we give it the old taste test. I was going to say if it's like Granny Smith versus Honeycrisp or whatever. But it's got that just kind of clean smell to it. Green apple smell. We'll call it that. So, bottoms up, and let's see about tasting. It's nice, good, crisp, clean. Keep wanting to say beer, not beer, cider. And with that, I kind of expected to get, some hop forwardness off of that. Not really. It's very subtle. It's very balanced. Very crisp. As they call it, optimized. It's dry, which you would expect. It's not that sweetness that you get out of some ciders. It's just very clean. There is a subtle hop, flavor to it, but it's not really coming forward. Because looking at everything, thinking of how, as we just talked about with dry hopping, we were trying to impart aromas and flavor without the bitterness. There definitely is no bitterness to this, but it definitely does have a nice, good, clean smell, taste. There is a little bit of something that has kind of give it a swig that it kind of hits on the backside of the swallow. Again, it's not bad. It's not overpowering. Just something can't quite put my finger on as to what it is. I guess it just gives that kind of little extra burst in with the drink. All in all, it sets up really well. I'm not finding really anything wrong on this one. I guess I'm going to give this, we'll give it a perfect 5 out of 5 bagels. Or should we do apples because it's cider? We'll stick with bagels. Not changing anything. I've already done enough on that. There's not much to find wrong with this. Hence the 5 out of 5. As I keep sipping it, it definitely goes down very smooth, which we would want to come and expect on, these 5 out of 5 perfect kind of ratings. Again, I find little to nothing wrong with it. Like I said, there is just that kind of subtle back of the throat flavor, but it's not enough to detract on it. It just kind of gives just a slightly different twinge, texture, I don't know, what have you, but it sets up very, very, very nice, very clean. So I guess without any further ado, why belabor the point? It's time to find out if this cider will chug. Are we going to get something a little bit different coming in off of this? Are we going to get overpowered on anything? It's going to make us change out from our cool, crisp, clean 5 out of 5 rating? Or is that unknown quantity going to come forward and we'll figure out what it is and we'll detract from it? As we kind of come to find out, when we get some of these, the chugging going on, really intensifies some flavors, character profiles, what have you. So I guess with that, it's time to figure out if it will chug. Bottoms up. Yes. Very chuggable. Very smooth. I'm not finding anything really kind of coming different off of that unknown kind of flavor quality. Really still sits there. Still cannot put my finger on it. But the apple flavor doesn't really intensify, doesn't diminish, kind of stays the same. Just, it was very smooth to go ahead and finish. Actually, I missed a little bit, but I'm going to blame that on my breathing and not the fact that I couldn't finish chugging it. We'll blame the glass shape on that one as opposed to my lack of chuggability. So, but all in all, it definitely fits the bill on everything. It's good cider for this time of year. Actually, any time of year could see sitting down with this, but it definitely works right now with the weather if it wants to cooperate and actually be fall and not be false summer, which happens here. But all in all, like I said, when we did during the taste test, couldn't find much wrong with it. Not finding much wrong with it even after the chugging. Don't get any different characteristics. Nothing really blasted through. It definitely big, apple profile that's there. But again, very smooth. Obviously, lack of kind of carbonation or lower carbonation doesn't hurt it. Definitely recommend this. Have to check out, see some more. These guys are close. Go down, obviously going to find some stuff here. They only have, right now, it looks based upon their website, they got 3 other ones. They got, I do have one other one that's in the fridge. Can't remember what it is, but it is not a dry. It is their semi-dry that's there. And can't wait to try that one out as well and see how that lines up against this one. So, if you're looking for a good fall for you here in Delaware, local brew to help support brewery, cidery, what have you, to support, I definitely recommend this cider. And with that, I'm done. This is done. We're done. And I thank you again for tuning in for another edition of Bagel and Booze. And we'll catch you later. Thanks all.